Bam! Ah, this car is insane. Oh, that corner's coming up quick. So I heard some of you guys might be looking to get rid of your Teslas. I also heard that you might be a little stuck and you're not knowing where to choose between all the different options you're being told about. See, there's two camps currently with the state of electric cars. There's the side of cars that are pretty great cars, but then kind of bad EVs. And then you have the other side that are great EVs, but kind of bad cars. Today's video is about what I feel like is the ultimate middle ground solution. This is not only a great EV and probably the best EV on paper, but one of the best new cars I've driven, regardless of powertrain. So this is the Lucid Air. This is the GT trim, and this is the third Lucid Air I've gotten to drive. And at this point, I've driven every single trim of this model, and I just have to talk about this car. I know EVs aren't exactly my focus on this channel, but hear me out, guys. This is honestly a really great car. We'll get into the interior, practicality, efficiency, range, all that stuff a little bit later. But for now, we got to talk about performance because not a lot of EVs are actually that fun to drive. But this one, well, okay, let me just show you. Let's do a launch control real quick. So because we have the second most powerful Lucid Air trim you can get, we've got almost 820 horsepower, 819. So we'll see how quick we can go from 0 to 60. It's not that warm outside. We are in all seasons, but it's not that warm outside. It's currently 42 degrees. It's gonna be 60 today, but I had to get this done a little early. So let's see what we can do. I'm hoping like 3.1, 3.2. I think that number is possible. I tried to get the tires as warm as I can, so let's do this. We are in sprint mode, so working with the max power. Let's do this. Woo! Oh man, I haven't launched an EV that quick in a while. All right, we did 0 to 60 in 3.66 seconds. I think we can do a little bit better. Let's try that one more time. All right, we've given the car some time to chill. Let's run this back, see what we do now. Woo! All right, we ran a 3.34. So not quite the sub 3 I was hoping that this car would do, but I think we're just weather limited at the moment. And I think on a better day, weather-wise, we would definitely crack a 3 or sub 3 potentially. But regardless, this is a monstrously quick car. So these electric cars obviously don't have engines, so you no longer have the excitement that comes from a screaming V8 or V12 or the feeling of shifting gears or clutch slipping. You no longer have that sensation, right? So with an EV, you have to dial in everything else. You have to dial in the steering feel, you have to dial in the chassis balance, the handling, the road feel. All of that has to be elevated to compensate for the lack of those things you're missing with it being an electric vehicle, battery powered. And the Lucid Air, I feel like, does that quite well. The car feels incredibly balanced, incredibly poised, confident on sharp back roads like this. It's a heavy car. I think this example weighs maybe a little bit over 5,000 pounds, and you can hear those tires screeching every time I throw it into a corner. But it comes out of that corner ready for more, ready to go, just absolutely wanting to send it. And then when combining that with the instantaneous acceleration, you're just having a ball on a road like this in this car. Yeah, I don't have a screaming engine in front of me or behind me, but I still have fun. It's still an enjoyable car to me. Do I wish this car had an engine? I mean, sure, but then you wouldn't be getting the instantaneous acceleration. The steering feel coming from the Sapphire version, the last Lucid I drove, which is the top trim version of this car, it's not as sharp, not as precise, but it's still leagues above most other performance EVs out there. I'd say the only one beating this car is a middle-of-the-range Porsche Taycan, but definitely more precise and more accurate than a BMW or a Mercedes for sure. The car also feels incredibly balanced. When throwing it into a corner, you feel the rear end kind of step out on you just a little bit, but then as soon as you straighten out, it throws right back into place, and then you're ready to go. Man, the only thing I'm not a super big fan of is the braking modulation feel. I can see that the actual calipers and rotors themselves are enough. It actually has the physical braking power necessary, but the feel of the brakes isn't my favorite. It's definitely the best when you have it in the sprint mode, which is the performance mode, but I wish it was just a little bit more natural feeling. But it's hard to achieve when, you know, you're driving an electric car. I think this is the best all-arounder, especially when given the value that you're getting with this car. If you want the most just tail-happy, just nonsensical version, the pure rear-wheel drive version will just absolutely allow you to just do skids and slides, and it's not the most powerful, but it's certainly really fun. And it's fun in a way that this car isn't, because it's all-wheel drive. If I were to change anything, I'd probably throw some Meteor tires on here for just a little bit more grip in the corners, but I honestly like the way the car kind of, like, you know, throws the rear end back a little bit. You know, sometimes not having maximum grip is not, you know, the worst thing ever. Then obviously with that 820 horsepower, the speed you're able to carry, between this car and the Bentley Continental, which is the last car I drove on this road, I've just been flying through the Cars with Miles test track. I've driven the Model S Plaid, I've driven the Model 3, and those cars are fine dailies, fine commuters, but when putting them in a scenario like this, they don't really hold up the way you would expect it to, for it being the performance model, right? Would the equivalently priced Porsche Taycan feel better on a road like this? Yeah, probably, but you'd probably only get 10 minutes of driving out of it before you're halfway through your battery, not to mention all the other EV and luxury creature comforts that that car lacks at the equivalent price to this. This is just so much more of a complete package, and still really fun to drive. And this is from a company that doesn't have the racing pedigree that Porsche has. There's not many cars that can take this hairpin I'm about to take at the speed and precision in which I'm about to take it. Right through and all the way up. No problem for this car. Like, that is insane. Tires are absolutely squealing for their lives. There's definitely a tad understeer, but man, the control, the balance, the confidence. Can't believe this car is this much fun. It's only so impressive to me because it is such an electric and synthetic experience, but man, they've really dialed this thing in from a dynamics perspective. It's a breath of fresh air in the performance EV luxury car space. So now that we've gotten through performance, let's work our way around this thing. Firstly, this color, Fathom Blue Metallic with the Stealth package. If you're gonna get a Lucid Air, find one with the Stealth package, because that is absolutely the way to go. All these accents that are black and dark colored, they would be otherwise silver or chrome looking, and I've seen some not great looking Lucid specs out there. It's very easy to get an old man type spec, but this one is awesome. And I've never seen this Fathom Blue Metallic color until I got this car on loan. But one of the big things that we love about EVs is having a frunk. And this car has one of the biggest frunks I've ever experienced in an EV, period. So I've got something in the frunk right now, but I'll have B-roll of what it looks like completely empty. I can close the frunk with me entirely inside of it. I feel like that's all you need to know as far as how big and practical this frunk is. And this is something that a lot of other EVs don't really do a great job at. Other high-performance EVs like the Porsche Taycan is a good example. The Plaid also doesn't have an insanely big frunk. This one is absolutely massive. I'm a big fan of the frunk in this car. So much space. And then the trunk as well, super spacious. You can fit a ton of stuff in here. There's this bottom compartment where you can fit even more stuff. Just so much practicality with this car. And it gets better on the inside. Before we step inside, let me show you one of my favorite features. We got soft closed doors on all four corners of the car, so even the back seats are soft close as well. That is nice. I like that. I don't know what that sound was, but I love the fact that we have soft closed doors on a EV sedan. We need to normalize this. Now, when stepping inside the car, you definitely have a stereotypical EV minimalist interior, right? But I love the way everything is set up here. I love the way everything is laid out. Firstly, the steering wheel, not my favorite steering wheel in the world, but you have all the buttons that you need to have on a steering wheel, and I love the way it feels when doing spirited driving. One of my favorite interior highlights is the secondary screen. The screen handles the climate control, the seat position, and the massaging function as well, which is nice. It also handles your drive modes in the car, which is very simple. But my favorite feature about this screen is that you can completely hide it away if you want with just a simple swipe, which reveals more hidden storage behind this screen, which is awesome. And outside of that, you've got your primary screen up top for Apple CarPlay with your gauge cluster and additional controls on the left. And I love that we still have some physical controls for just basic climate control and volume control. We like that. Also, another feature that's really cool is this kind of like central pillar thing that goes down the middle, and this lights up at night. This reminds me of the Bugatti Tourbillon, which I filmed last year on autofocus. This is like, it's kind of a cool thing that just reminds me of the Bugatti. And then these floating mirrors as well. These are also really cool. I love the way this looks in the car. Definitely futuristic, very dreamy vibes. All this is cool, but of course we can't be in here without addressing the range. On a full charge, which I did charge this to full yesterday, I got 510 miles, which, I'm just gonna come out and say it. I feel like that 510 is slightly capped. I feel like if you never go over 60 miles an hour on the highway and you live on a super flat terrain with no inclines, I feel like that could be possible technically, but in a realistic real world scenario, and especially where I live and the places I go, 510 is not going to be realistic for me. Also because, you know, every now and then I like to punch it a little bit, you know, safely of course, but yeah, 510 is not really realistic, but it's definitely gonna get you more range than a Model S. It's gonna get you more range than a Porsche Taycan. It's gonna get you way more range than any other BMW, Audi, or Mercedes EV currently on sale. It's just best in class range, period. And so that makes it really easy to live with because you don't have to worry about charging this thing up every couple of days. You can use this pretty much for the whole week if your commute isn't that crazy, and then charge it up at the end of the week. And that's the reason I like this car as an EV, because it's an EV I could actually live with. I can technically charge my cars at home, but I don't want to have to deal with that. Now, I don't have an outlet to do a faster charge at home, so I'm just working with a standard outlet to charge my cars at home. So, I mean, I want an EV that I can personally use stress-free without having to worry about keeping it charged every other day. A lot of the other EVs I've had on this channel, that's been the case, but with this one, not so much. One of the first things that really blew my mind when I got into this car for the first time, like 2 years ago, was when I looked in the back seat and saw how much freaking room you have in the back. It is insane. So right now, what you're seeing is the front seat, the driver's seat, all the way back. I cannot move the driver's seat any further back, and I still have enough room to be comfortable back here. So if your driver was like 7 feet tall and had to have his seat all the way back, I would still have enough room to be comfortable back here, more room than in a lot of other 4-door EV sedans. You've got so much space. You don't have a gear or transmission tunnel in the middle like a lot of these other platform sharing EVs have, like the BMWs, for example. There's just an immense amount of room back here. It is just honestly insane how much space you have in this second row. All right, here are the two biggest things that I don't like about the Lucid Air. The first thing are the wheels. I'm not really a big fan of the design of the wheels and how small they are compared to the size of the car. And definitely just looks, it's not my thing, but it's all in the name of efficiency. So you need the 19-inch wheels to achieve the level of range that this car is capable of with these wheels on. And then by far the thing I hate the most, this key. This key is not good. So it's just one button that you use for everything, and you use a single tap to lock the car, a double tap to unlock the car, and then a long press to open the trunk. It's way better now than the keys used to be with some of the older models, but some of these keys die kind of quickly, and then, I don't know, I feel like the car will just unlock and unlock at random points in time when you're near the car. It's kind of spontaneous. Sometimes it's not super responsive. See, I'm gonna click to unlock here. Okay, that was pretty responsive, but other times it's not as responsive. Of course, when it's on camera, it knows what's to do, but I'm not the biggest fan of this key. I would prefer just like individual buttons. I feel like a lot of people wouldn't complain about that. Lucid, you guys are due for a new key. It's also, you know, pretty cheap feeling. It's not a premium feeling key at all compared to the rest of the car. So I would really love to have a new key, or, you know, I guess you could also just use the app that Lucid has that also gives you control of the car as well. Maybe that's why they kind of slacked on the key, because they thought some people would be using the app, or a lot of people would be using the app, but Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this key at all, to be honest. If you look at the sticker price of this car from Lucid, it's obviously very expensive, but once you go online and start looking at used examples of this car, that's where it becomes a lot more enticing of a deal. Lucid is also doing pretty insane lease deals on these cars to try to get people into them. And I honestly recommend you look into those. I'm not being paid by Lucid to say this. I just genuinely think you should try to get into one of these cars at the cheapest possible way, because it's honestly worth it as an experience overall. I love this car every time I drive it, and the Sapphire version is one of the best sedans I've ever driven, period. So hopefully I can have more Lucid content on the channel for you guys in the future. If this video gets 80,000 likes, I will buy the rear-wheel drive Lucid Air Pure and do like a smoke show donut video for you guys, because you can really light up the tires in those things.